Thank you and welcome back. So really enjoyed those sessions. Great conversations from Chris and also from Caroline and Nigel. And I've been speaking to Chris all the way through this crisis, and he's a really inspirational chap with some fantastic ideas. And I think it's brilliant that he's bringing gastronomy to Stoke-on-Trent and to Staffordshire. So thanks ever so much for what you're doing, Chris. And we're pleased in the LEP to help you in any way we can. I'm joined now by James Leavesley, who's a fellow board member at the LEP. Nice to see you, James. Thanks for coming.
Nice to see you too, Alan. Thank you.
And James is actually more than just a board member. He's also the vice chair, so he helps me. He's my right-hand man. He keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Oh, is that what I meant to do?
Well, I hope so.
Oh, good. OK, right, fine.
And James also wears many hats in the community, and the hat you're wearing today that you're representing is the Vice Lord Lieutenant. What is a Vice Lord Lieutenant, James?
Her Majesty's representative in Staffordshire is Mr. Ian Dodson, and he is the Lord Lieutenant. And I have the absolute honour of being his Vice Lord Lieutenant. So in the way I support you, it's the role I do to support Ian. And in events where he's unable to attend, and it has happened during COVID, I've had to step in and officiate at events. And it's a wonderful honour to be able to do, especially over the county of Staffordshire.
It sounds really rewarding.
It's very rewarding. You get to meet so many different people. And the inspiration that you gain and get from them is just, well, it's just wonderful. It's a brilliant thing to do.
And I guess you're picking up stories that across the whole of the county and the city all of the time, aren't you, about the great work that people are doing, I guess?
One of the things I do is actually then try and encourage companies to go for a national recognition and national awards. Everybody and sensible companies go for local competitions, regional competitions. But there is a national competition that is internationally recognised that a company can self-promote. It is the only national competition you can self-promote for, and that's the Queen's Award for Enterprise. And so I do encourage as many companies as I possibly can, if they're suitable, and every company should be suitable, to go for a Queen's Award for Enterprise. There are certain rules. There are 4 categories that you can apply for. There is international trade, so do you export services, goods? There is innovation, so have you been innovative? Not quite the innovation that you and I would understand in a business, because you do something and it's there in 6 months. They would want to see 2 or 3 track records of the innovation working.
So it's persistent and continuous innovation.
It is, yes. And then you have sustainable development. So sustainable development is helping the environment, reducing your carbon footprint, making things more effective and efficient in your operation, utilising less resources as a result. And the most recent category is promoting opportunity through social mobility. So if you don't export, you're not really innovative, but if you're, like Chris, able to take people, retrain them, structure them, and give them an experience that will allow them to grow their own life and grow their own business, that is social mobility and allowing people to improve. So every single firm in the UK should be allowed to apply for a Queen's Award for Enterprise. You need more than 2 employees full-time, so it's not a great hurdle. If you're in the international trade section, you have to export more than £100,000 turnover. That's not profitability, that's turnover. So smaller firms, as well as big international firms that you'd recognise, are very easy to get them put themselves down. For a few hours work, you could get a logo that is globally recognised, and it is predominantly Her Majesty putting the crown above the E for the enterprise, and you're allowed to hold that for 5 years on your logo, on your headed note paper, on your business cards that you can give out. And what's so special about that? Around every embassy in the world, the winners are recorded of who they are. They know in every embassy. So you could use the embassies as a launch pad for your product and your services around the globe, should you wish to go elsewhere.
So fundamentally, you get access to the Crown's sales team that's a global presence, and you end up in an ambassador's black book then.
You certainly do, and that is very, very powerful. There are companies, everybody wants to trade with the UK. Everybody wants to be involved in something. Made in the UK is a very prestigious brand, and it's going to be even more important next year after Brexit. So to have Her Majesty's logo on your headed notepaper gives you a phenomenal boost. Research was done a number of years ago of those who have won it for the international trade section, and they saw an increase between 16 and 20% in increase in inquiries for their product. Didn't mean they actually got the extra turnover, but that just through the door walked another 20% of inquiries at levels going forward. What company wouldn't want to actually achieve that and get that for being fantastic and in your field? Because what it actually gives, the process you have to go through is, I'm going to say, exacting. If you're a bad boy made good, you ain't going to achieve it. If you're somebody who doesn't pay their taxes and plays the game and tries to do, you won't get through the system. They're very experienced. They've been going since the 1960s. They know what to look for. But if you get the logo, you are going to be in the top of your field, recognised by the civil servants' bays, that you are brilliant as a company. You get the logo on your notepaper, and everybody in the world will pick up on that if they're interested in your products or services. And it's there for you to just use. And
in terms of thinking about recognition then, you will see, as I will, that there are fantastic businesses and organisations and amazing things happening around here. How important is it that we do recognise things? It doesn't feel like we're always puffing our chests out, and I feel we need to do that a little bit more.
British Reserve is very difficult when it's very appropriate, but to have it means you don't shout out and say, I'm good, I'm brilliant. I sit here in a suit, shirt and tie. It's very traditional in its image, and it does have the reputation of being exceedingly stuffy and boring. I can live with that personally. I don't have an issue with that. But companies on the world stage need to beat the drum louder. And that's really the important bit. Going for the Queen's Award in any one of the 4 areas does give you that banner, that strapline, that whatever current media marketing advantage you should take. The royal family are globally watched. Why not jump on that bandwagon? I really don't understand. It isn't just about international trade. You go for the sustainable development section and you win there, business opportunities will absolutely open up for you. For instance, you come up with a new computer program that allows more efficient operation, and if you look round in delivery drivers, I'm not going to publicise one in particular, but one of them on their vans has got the Queen's Award for Enterprise logo. If everyone goes out there and looks for it, you'll know which one I'm talking about. And that was because they came up with a more efficient way of doing distribution. They've had inquiries about how did they do it. So other business opportunities have developed. Other UK companies have approached them. Other international companies have approached. What was so brilliant about your system that won you the Sustainable Development Award? And so it just opens doors you don't even know exist.
And in terms of it as a club then, how exclusive is the Queen's Award for Enterprise as a club? So how many get awarded a year?
Currently, about a third of applicants get there. And a lot of people will think, oh, I've had a disastrous year. Actually, they look at history. You can go over a three-year period if your growth has been exceptional. Otherwise, it's a 6-year review of what's actually happened and how you've been trading. and they look and base to see there's been continuous growth, continuous achievement, and I say a constant evolution is what it's all about. So it isn't a case of, oh, I had this brainwave idea, I'll go down that route and that's going to win me the award. No, you've got to be involved in the local community. There's a whole spectrum of activities you get involved in, but most corporately responsible companies are doing this anyway. So it isn't a big ask. What you've got to do is put it down on a piece of paper, which is a form you get from Queen's Award for Enterprise website. And if you go there, you can get the form and download it. In Staffordshire, if you're struggling and want someone to review it, who's seen a few, I'm happy to do that for companies. If you're wanting to do it for the wrong reasons, there are enough pitfalls and experience to actually see it. What you mustn't do is lie. What you've got to do is market it brilliantly and use simple language as well. I'm a bit of an IT dark ages user, and so your terminology in your business, Alan, would kerfuddle me. And absolutely. So you've got to explain things to civil servants and actually promote it in the way. So to answer your question, about 120 companies a year, 140 companies a year will get the Queen's Award for Enterprise in the different sections. And that means you are pretty exclusive. If you don't succeed, there will be feedback of why. And the majority of reasons people don't succeed is because they've been too technical in their explanation. They've kerfuddled people. Just because you understand how it works doesn't mean I'm going to understand how it works. So it's got the benefits and the implications have got to be easily understood by someone who's not into your technical jargon. And therefore, on the second submission or even a third submission, I know of one company in Stoke-on-Trent who applied. They're a recruitment agency, LA International, on Festival Park. They won it on the third application. And the reason they didn't get it the first two times was they were too technical in what they were actually achieving to do. When it came to their third time, wow, yes, people got it and they won it. And we were very, very fortunate in their case, which is rare. We actually had a member of the royal family present the award. Normally the awards are presented by the Lord Lieutenant of the county at your premises, at your business premises. I've had the honour of presenting a couple in Mr. Dudson's absence, and it's just brilliant because the whole of the company gets involved. It isn't an award where the top brass, the directors of the company all get a pat on the back and say how wonderful we are. Companies involve all of their staff, bring them on board, and yes, everyone says, I work for a really respectable company, and I'm proud to be a part of the success.
And in terms of our area, do you think we get enough? Are we getting our fair share?
No.
Obviously, I don't believe in fair share. I believe we should have more than our fair share.
I totally agree with that statement. No, we don't get our fair share, and we don't get our fair share because the companies don't apply. Okay. And they probably don't apply because they don't know the award's there, which is the biggest shame. The Chamber of Commerce have been absolutely fantastic in helping promote it after the last few years. And yes, one year we received 5 winners out of the country, which for us in Staffordshire is brilliant.
But it's not enough, is it?
No, definitely not enough.
And I think that's a direct call to businesses is, please apply. If you need help, contact myself or James or come to the LEP or, whichever way you approach us, we'll find a way to get the message to you. But please apply. We want you to get the success and the recognition you genuinely deserve. And if I move on there in terms of kind of organisations, you've talked about, some smaller organisations, you talked about the delivery company. Is this a thing for big business, for little business? Who's applying and who's getting it?
Anybody with more than 2 full-time employees can apply. And that, in other words, means the bar means the majority of companies can apply. I don't know many companies that don't employ more than 2 people, and there will be some startups that will be like that. But in truth, we're talking about a 6-year progression or a 3 exponential year progression. So by the time you get to that stage, you will have employed more than 2 people. And employment is important, and as is the community work that you do as well. So anybody can apply. If you're providing promotional opportunity, social mobility, you're going right the way down the right track for one of the Queen's Award for Enterprise sections, and you should go for it.
And I wanted to talk about a local employer who's won it multiple times. They're a larger employer, not one of our smaller ones, but they've won it multiple times. Is it 20 times or something you told me?
No, more than that, 20
Wow.
times. And you're talking about somebody who works in Roaster, I believe. And for those of you not from Staffordshire, they're called JCB. And I'm going to a note here, Alan, because I want to just quote directly from the company. At JCB, we firmly believe that the knowledge we're a Queen's Award winner contributes extremely positively to the company's image and helps cement our reputation as a successful manufacturer of quality products. And they've actually won the award 29 times since 1969. And for those of you who know the company JCB, they're not renowned for doing it because it's a fun thing to do. They're renowned for doing it because it actually has a purpose and has a benefit. And as the statement there said, it cements their relationship with their customers that they manufacture quality products, because Her Majesty's logo is put alongside theirs. And they've been able to fly the Queen's Award flag. You apply it have it for 5 years, so companies can multi-apply. Just because you've applied in the past doesn't mean you can't apply in the future. In fact, you should, because many will apply for one section, appreciate they actually qualify for another section, and that then, what's the benefit to the area and the benefit to the county? If you've got Queen's Awards winners in a cluster, in an area of the county, other people strive to be as good as you. So your suppliers bask in the glory.
And it's about that aspiration, is about raising that aspiration across the area. And I think if you again, thinking about JCB as an organisation that has its own shade of yellow, that is global and world renowned, and I'll be looking forward to seeing their logo on some overalls of F1 drivers this weekend. It's incredible to think that an organisation like JCB, still sees the value in creating, getting the Queen's Award. And it's, in our own area, we've got small businesses who've got it, we've got large organisations, but it's absolutely of value to everybody, isn't it? And
it's a wonderful thing, and I'm going to quote, and I do apologise, Lord Bamford, for quoting you, because you didn't know I was going to do this. He challenged one of his directors on his board and said, by the way, you're the only department that's never won a Queen's Award for Enterprise. What are you going to do about it? And so he uses it as a driving force within his own structure, because he absolutely loves and comments on loves the idea of winning the Queen's Award for Enterprise.
And if we move away, so that's thinking about the organisations and the companies we have in our area and the great things they're doing, but let's think about the individuals as well. So again, in our country, we have an honour system, obviously sanctioned by the Queen for business, but we have something in terms of things like OBEs and MBEs and that kind of stuff. Just talk to me quickly about that. And we're going to have to hold this to about 5-6 minutes because we've got quite a few questions coming through as well.
Okay. A myth buster. When Her Majesty dubs you on the shoulders, Alan, she doesn't say, arise, Sir Alan. That is actually a Hollywood statement. It doesn't happen in films. Oh, sorry, it only happens in films. It doesn't happen in reality. Whatever you say to her and she says to you will remain between the two of you. Yes, we have the honours system, and damehoods, knighthoods, CBEs, OBEs, MBEs, BMEs. There's quite a raft of them. About 2,500 people, 2,400 people will receive an honour a year. And that's twice a year, once in the New Year's honours and once for Her Majesty's birthday. And so those are the two dates, and they come through. And Staffordshire, it's a great shame, doesn't have its fair proportion of honours being awarded.
Is that because we don't have enough famous people? Because they're mainly for celebrities, aren't they?
No, not in the slightest.
Oh, right.
No. The sportsmen are dedicated England, sportswomen are dedicated in England, and they should receive the honours they do. You don't have to be an actor or an actress to receive one.
Right, okay.
Another myth buster. The reason Staffordshire doesn't get is because we don't make enough applications. Enough citations aren't written, which
So
is
I ought to go
great.
home and write one up for myself, or?
Oh, you can do, but it won't get anywhere.
All right.
There is enough pitfalls. You'll fall through the elephant traps in doing it. A national honour isn't something you can apply for yourself.
Right, okay.
So those who have actually received them have been recommended or written up by somebody else. And the BMEs means that the community they live in think they are exceptional and wonderful. They go to a few people. Not everybody can win and not everybody gets, and correctly so. An honour, as well as being something that glitters and is quite wonderful, also puts a great shadow. So you have to live up to expectations, and so do receiving them. Men write up men. Women write up men. Women don't write up women. And that's out of the national stats and out of the Cabinet Office. So what I would encourage, we have phenomenally talented ladies and gentlemen in this county, and people don't take the right time to write a citation. The first one is daunting to do because it creates a great big shiny medal. It isn't that difficult. What you've got to do is be truthful and be enthusiastic in how you put it down. The Cabinet website on National Honours has a brilliant frequently asked questions section where they answer most people's concerns to start with. But again, download an application form if you think that somebody should receive an honour. Do not talk to said individual about it. If you do, it will become obvious. Talk to people around them. Talk to their partners. Swear them to the secrecy. It is important because if it looks like they know, they will fall over and it won't get through. You submit an application and very frustratingly, you've got very emotional, you've written this piece about said individual and then you don't hear anything. And there are always an event why things be delayed, but actually it takes 2 years for someone to be assessed. Because again, if Her Majesty is going to grant you national recognition, they're going to check into you. So what's called the health checks are undertaken, and for some reason, you may not receive something. You could have failed the health check, or somebody else had a better written citation about them in the same industry, in the same event, covering the same activity. COVID being a classic example, we all know the Prime Minister extended the birthday honours this year to include a number of COVID heroes. And there certainly are out there. There's enough people out there who've been completely wonderful. I've read a number of the citations and I've actually reported back on certain individuals. I've had the honour of doing that this year because the amount that we should receive for Staffordshire has gone up, but there just isn't enough. So if we can get citations written, we'll get more honours recognised, which is vastly beneficial to the area.
And I think that's the key point, isn't it? Is that, it does feel like we're underrepresented, but the issue isn't that we don't have enough good people doing enough good things. It's that there's not enough of us nominating people. And that's the key takeaway here, isn't it? That we all need to be writing more citations.
We need more citations written. It's not scary. And again, I will help if someone wants to sort of send me a draft. And you've got to be good at adjectives. Because just to say Alan is fantastic at his job is not going to be good enough. And what you mustn't do is write a CV of activities. Alan has enthused. Alan has opened up. Sorry, I'm just picking on you.
It's all pretty embarrassing at the moment.
Yeah, so please, everybody, think of some superhero in your area, in your region, in your industry, and write a citation. It's not that difficult.
And I guess the same offer applies, doesn't it? Come through to me, come through to the LEP, come directly to you, whatever route you can find. but we're prepared to help. There's support and advice out there to help you make sure that people around us in our community get the recognition they deserve, isn't there?
Yes, very much so.
So, however you want to get in touch, through me, if you know James directly or whatever, but get in touch. If you're finding it hard or you're not sure or you want some advice, come to us, we'll help you, but it's absolutely critical we get more people and we get the recognition that we deserve for this fantastic area, don't we?
Very much so. It is well worth receiving and getting and writing. It's very rewarding writing a citation as well.
And just one quick thing, when we were prepping for the session, you talked about the types of awards and kind of your favourite being the MBE. Do you want to talk to me about that?
My favourite isn't the MBE, it's the BEM.
Oh, right, okay.
It's the one that was reintroduced a number of years ago, and the simple reason for that, it is for your lollipop lady. It is for someone who's made a major impact in the local community. And it's brilliant that these individuals, they're all out there, and they are fantastically supportive, and they are like the fourth emergency service. Without these individuals, a lot of life in the community won't exist. And it's wonderful that someone spends the time and writes and works hard on getting their citation written. I worked on one lady's citation a couple of years ago, and I went to meet the lady scripting it, and the emotion and the support she had was just phenomenal. And she got a reward when this lady got an OBE. She was blown away because she was only writing one for probably a BEM or an MBE, and the lady ended up with an OBE, which is a very high order, and it's an honour to receive.
Brilliant story. And if I just drop to some of the questions now, so this is a really good one. What would be your top 3 tips for a winning submission?
For a winning submission to start with on the Queen's Awards, or even on the personal honours, is to read the notes that are on the websites thoroughly and pick the right category that you are going to do so. Make sure that what you're explaining about how your business and where you think you're relevant for is in plain, simple English, non-jargon to understand.
And then we've got some questions from Twitter. So this one is, it's all about effort versus benefit at the moment. Is it really worth applying for awards right now in COVID? Is it a bit frivolous? Is it a bit, of a distraction?
No, because the awards come out on the 21st of April, and they're being assessed this year, so that's in a closed session. So those who get announced will be post the COVID, post the vaccine hopefully being around the country. Life will be coming back to normal, and you will have Her Majesty's logo alongside yours. So go for it next year. There is some hours to do. If you have marketing material, if you have a set of accounts, which most people do, you've got the majority of the hard work done. It's then scripting it to make it relevant to the questions asked.
Okay, and then another one, again from Twitter. Will one type of business be more likely to get a Queen's Award than another?
No. I would say, go back 10 years, yes, it was always the manufacturing industries. No, now any form of business, from the service industries to, I know of one, I just hope like heck wins it in Stoke-on-Trent, and you would question, well, they're not a business. Actually, they provide a phenomenal service, and they're going for the promotional opportunity through social mobility, and they've got to win it. They really have. I'll be so disappointed if they don't. But yeah, they're fantastic. They're helping so many individuals in Stoke-on-Trent. So no, the range is open. They're looking for diversity. What we have in Staffordshire is a phenomenal diversity of industries. If you've got a set of accounts, if you employ them more than 2 people, and you do any of the 4 things I said, have a look and go for it. And
then in terms of the process, how long does it take to submit the Queen's Awards? So how long is the application? Is it just a simple application form? How long does it take?
Now this is a very awkward question to answer.
You shouldn't tell me it's a long time.
No, I'm going to tell you it doesn't take long at all. Actually, it can be as complicated as you want it to be. And that's the danger. If it's not coming across simply, you're spending too long on it, it's probably not going to be clear at the end. So I would say 20 hours of work will be more than enough to do a phenomenal entry based on the right person within the company starting and doing the first drafts. Somebody who can have access to accounts, someone who can have access to the corporate responsibility work. So the individual making the application is actually more important. And I would say that somebody in marketing is very good, but they've got to be trusted enough to see the access to probably what is counted as confidential information within a business. By the time you go to your public accounts and you produce it, it's not public information, sorry, it's public information. So someone who is trusted to have access to the relevant sections will probably spend somewhere between 10 and 20 hours on it.
That's brilliant, and that's been a fantastic session. Really good, lots of actionable advice, lots of really good ideas that we can take from here. So I think our call is, please apply. If it's your business, apply for yourself. If you know somebody great, make sure that you apply for them. With that, thanks ever so much, James. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your time, Alan. Thank you.